Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I am your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. What can I say, guys? They got us again. WWE got me again, at least. They will get us, Marks, then, now, and forever, it seems. Last week or a week or two ago, they announced that Vince McMahon was going to talk on Raw. Mr. McMahon was going to come out, not on Raw, on SmackDown, and he did, and he virtually said nothing. And then this week, we all tune in to Monday Night Raw to see Cena, see what Cena had to say, and nothing much happened here as well. Cena didn't say anything at all, but they got me. They got me again, that was their job, to kind of get me to tune in, and that's what I did. I do think they did a better job milking the Cena appearance rather than the first Vince McMahon appearance from the first recent one. By bringing it to the 10 o'clock hour right off the top, Cena comes out of in the locker room and everyone is just applauding him. I feel like I would never get this at the place I work at. If I go on a vacation or maybe I just do some work on the other building, because there's two buildings in where I work, and I come back and everyone that's working with me just is applauding that I'm there. Would be a ridiculous experience. And Cena played it up. He was like, oh yeah, high-fiving Shelton, high-fiving R-Truth. But they knew people were tuning in for Cena, and they showed us a little glimpse of Cena at first. Showed the new merch, of course. I thought it was pretty sick. And they kind of knew that they needed to hook us, something other than Cena needed to hook us. And what did they use? They used a battle royal. They knew that the people tuning in to see John Cena would be interested in a battle royal. It's kind of a true classic that reminds people of when they were young, and people tuning in to see John Cena's 20th anniversary of WWE probably watched when they were a kid, so a battle royal was probably something they enjoyed as a kid, and that nostalgia will keep them around. At least it kept me around. Ziggler, Shelton, AJ, Ricochet, T-Bar, R-Truth, Reggie, Ciampa, Miz, Jinder, Tozawa, Shanky, all in the ring. Probably one or two guys I'm missing there. Ray and Dominic get their own special entrance. A little more nostalgia there to sprinkle on. And then Nakamura and Riddle get their own entrance. So it's kind of like, the bigger stars for the hardcores, the guys with the most street cred and MMA backgrounds get, another entrance as well. So I thought that was good that they, used those four particular wrestlers for their entrances. But I kind of felt bad for AJ Styles. I feel like he got snubbed a little bit. I would have had him be part of those entrances. But the battle royal was fun. Riddle gets the victory. I had all these notes writing down who was getting thrown out, and then at the end of it I realized it didn't really matter. It was kind of obvious who was going to win this one from the very beginning. There's one guy out of the three guys that got special entrances who's been wrestling Roman Reigns for a few weeks, who's been teaming with Randy Orton. That's the guy who's got the rocket strapped to him, and rightfully so. I feel like Cody had to kind of move out the way, and now this is more or less his Riddle's show, unless you take into consideration these legends like John Cena coming in. Speaking of John Cena, we got a second appearance of him talking and inspiring the Street Profits. He taught them to never give up and reminded them that they always thought never giving up with never give up because we want the smoke. That hyped them up, and it worked. Montez Ford got the victory in his match. I thought that was a fun little way to add a little spice to just what would be a random match on Raw. And then we get Cena pictures. We get the video package, which I was looking forward to, the John Cena video package, because what does WWE do better than any other wrestling promotion in the world? And that's video packages. And they put together a nice one. I was like, is this guy dead? Is he going to the Hall of Fame? No, he's just John fucking Cena, and he's out there. Reminded me of my childhood, reminded me of being a teenager, reminded me of the moments involving John Cena that made me a wrestling fan. Miz calls out Logan Paul but gets AJ Styles. That was kind of a dud. Cena meets Ezekiel, which was pretty funny, especially with the puzzled face on Cena when looking at Ezekiel, realizing that he knew his brother, of course, Elias. He turns around, and then there's Theory cutting a promo on him. I thought this was going to be a little bit of foreshadowing for what was going to happen later on. And still might be some foreshadowing, but for something that takes place on another Raw. But this is the Raw that hooked us. They should have done something more with Cena here. But if this is foreshadowing and this is the match we're going to get at SummerSlam, Theory versus Cena, I like it. I like it because it's for the U.S. Championship, a title synonymous with John Cena, the first title that John Cena won in WWE, the first title that he made a spinner belt, and then he re-won it after WrestleMania 31, beating Rusev, and had that great John Cena U.S. title challenge that introduced the WWE Universe to guys like Kevin Owens, and had great matches with, Cody Rhodes and Pac and almost Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn blew out his shoulder celebrating the fact that he was coming out to wrestle John Cena. This was amazing stuff here, and it kind of showcased that John Cena could wrestle. So for me, it kind of the U.S. Championship validated John Cena in more ways than one, and multiple times throughout his career. So if this is what's going to happen at SummerSlam, I'm all for it. They also had a video package with some legends talking about Cena, including Jericho, Big Show, and Bryan Danielson. 3 names that are, of course, signed with AEW. It's really cool that WWE let this happen. It's really cool that AEW let this happen. This forbidden door was open for these legends to speak about a peer of theirs. And then Mr. McMahon comes out, introduces Cena, and then Cena comes out and just says nothing. Kind of thanks the WWE, says it's his WWE birthday, puts over the fans, and I'm like, that's it? And then it hit me, those bastards did it again. I tuned in, I watched Raw. I haven't watched a Raw since I think the last Raw I watched was the Raw after Mania. So this is the kind of fair weather viewing I've had of this product, but over the past few weeks with Vince McMahon appearances and John Cena appearances, it's making me tune in. Some out of nostalgia, and some because I do this podcast and I know this is going to be newsworthy, and that's what you want to do. You want to hook me for the go-home show, and then you want to send me on the road to SummerSlam, so to speak, and they're doing a good job of that. But that's all the WWE talk I'm going to be sharing with you guys. We're going to be diving into AEW. Of course, the Forbidden Door happened, but before the Forbidden Door, AEW Rampage. Cool to see Tully's new faction finally debut in the form of a video package. I guess we know now that that's because there's going to be our ROH pay-per-view July 23rd. And before that, we're going to get a match with that faction from Tully and Gresham and Moriarty. I wonder where this is going. Maybe it's going to be a Gresham versus Brian Cage world title match for the ROH title for Death Before Dishonor, July 23rd. I don't know. I think that's kind of rushing this ROH program, and it's not going to be too good. We just got rid of, or not got rid of, but we just had a horrible build for Forbidden Door. It was convoluted, it was hard to follow, and if you did follow it closely, you didn't get rewarded. It was convoluted as fuck, and it left little to be desired. So then we're going to leave that, have blood and guts, and then start hyping up 2 promotions within one promotion as well with this Ring of Honor build, along with what they're going to build for AEW stuff. And it's also during the G1, so a lot of the fans are going to be focused on G1 and Dynamite. I think he's doing too much here, but I thought that ever since he bought ROH, and I've enjoyed every single show. So I'm still tuning in. I guess the joke will be on me because I will be talking about it. Phoenix versus Andrade. Great match. This was pay-per-view caliber match right here on Rampage. Like Black versus Penta on Dynamite, this should have been on the pay-per-view. Andrade jaw-jacking with the crowd and then fist-bumping a guy. I thought that was an odd interaction. The interpreter and the assistant going at it. Pretty fun. Then Roosh comes out, low blows Phoenix, DDT by Andrade, 1, 2, 3. Really cool to see Roosh and Andrade back together. They make for a great team. I hope that this will be something that Andrade can finally kind of sink his teeth into because it seems like ever since they signed him, they have not had a clue to what to do with him. This Hardy Andrade family office thing was just ridiculous, and ever since that kind of blew up in everyone's face, he's just been doing nothing. He's had great matches with Guevara, great matches with Cody, great matches with pretty much anyone, Darby. Anyone that you team him up with or have him face, he does well, but you just haven't really had anything to do with him. So hopefully bringing Los Ingobernables into AEW is exactly what he needs, or exactly what AEW needs. I mean, you got FTR going over to Japan probably. We'll talk about that later. And you're breaking up Jungle Boy, so there's room up there for a tag team up top, and I think Los Ingobernables will give the Bucks a run for their money if they don't just take the goddamn straps from them. Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez versus Laney Luck and Saraya. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Tension between the two veterans doesn't stop them from getting the victory. Hook versus the DKC. I thought that was kind of an odd place to put the DKC, a member of LA Dojo, right before the big show. You kind of bury someone from New Japan. I mean, of course, it's like the lowest rung that you can possibly get on New Japan, but I still thought that they could have just done another guy from Bear Country or something like that. Jeff Cobb versus Cash Wheeler. Great match. Cobb yelling at a crowd member just like Andrade and just like Bobby Fish did last week on Rampage. I think the pace of these matches are a little slower on Rampage, which allows them to do a little heel work when they go to the outside, and I can enjoy that. It reminds me of the good old days when bad guys were bad guys and people would get straight up pissed at them, and here we are again in 2022 seeing Jeff Cobb and Andrade just getting them pissed. It's awesome. It's pro wrestling here, guys. Tour of the Islands, 1, 2, 3. Jeff Cobb gets the victory. After the match, though, there was a huge brawl. Like, two brawls within a brawl. Everything going at it. Aussie Open and FTR. A brawl between Ospreay and Cassidy going into Forbidden Door. And Kingston and Jericho on commentary getting attacked. This was the brawl to watch, though. This brawl was better than any other brawl. If they were going to have Eddie Kingston and Jericho brawl, they should have just not had anyone out there other than them, because I think all eyes were on them. It was just a way better brawl. I'm just going to say a 5-star brawl here, using pencils, fighting through the crowd. It was just awesome. But of course, that wasn't the most newsworthy AEW show of the weekend. We had AEW and New Japan joint show, Forbidden Door. My overall thoughts here, I wish the setup stayed like AEW, but I wanted the ring to be more like New Japan. I love New Japan's ring. I want it maybe, instead of the 3 turnbuckles, the longer turnbuckle pads, maybe a blue mat on the ground. I know this is nitpicky here, but that's what I kind of wanted or expected. This just seemed like an AEW show with New Japan guys on it, where I thought it was going to be more of a joint show. They did have 2 ring announcers for every single match. I mean, again, this is nitpicky, but I would have just had the Japanese guy call one match and then have the Dapper Yapper call the other one, but they did 2 introductions every single time. I thought that was one more than you needed. I like the announcers. Lots of them. They all did well. Good mix. Jericho throwing a fireball at Shota Umino after his match. I really like that, showing the veteran was a little frustrated with the former young lion. And also, they made a note of it. Wrestle Kingdom, I think they said 12 or 13, he attacked Shota Umino because that was Red Shoes, the referee during the matches, son. So he attacked him. He put him in the walls of Jericho during the match, and here he is throwing a fireball at him. This feud is random as hell, but it is a feud that has a long-term build to it, and I want to see if Jericho goes to Japan or Shota comes over from his UK excursion to Dynamite, to where we can finally have a match between these two. ROH pay-per-view July 23rd, like I said. We'll see how it goes, but it seems too soon for this shit. I was not impressed by the convoluted nature of the Forbidden Door build, like I've already said. And I think that AEW just needs a breather, a little, just simple storytelling. Maybe solidifying Mox as the interim champion, solidifying the Bucks as the tag champions, maybe pushing this Christian Cage storyline. But we just went from having two companies trying to get time on one company's show, and here we are doing it again. We did not learn from our mistakes, it seems like, but I digress. United Empire and Best Friends brawling after the Cassidy and Will Ospreay match, and then to save the day, Shibata's music hits. The crowd goes nuts here. It's really cool to see. You know, this is like his second or third appearance in 2022. The show of respect from Cassidy, just putting the shades on Shibata after he ran amok on all of the United Empire. Really cool to see. Does this mean we get Ospreay versus Shibata now? Not during the G1, of course, but maybe a little afterwards. Shibata lives in America, coaching the LA dojo. Are we going to get Shibata, teaming with Cassidy, teaming with the Best Friends? Maybe New Japan Strong, we might get a Cassidy appearance teaming with Shibata going up against Aussie Open. There's lots of things that could happen here. It definitely was the pop of the night. I'm interested to see more. So this did its good job. As much as I shit on the build from Forbidden Door, this show was amazing. This show was great. I kind of think I lost the plot here when talking about this show and more or less complaining about the build. Complaining about what we're not going to see based on injuries, but when this show happened, it was great. It was better than Double or Nothing, I'll say that. Tanahashi and Mox showing respect at the end of the match, and then Jericho and Garcia coming out, and then all hell breaks loose again. They kind of ruined a good moment between Tanahashi and Mox to promote Blood and Guts, and it kind of sucked to see Tanahashi sell a beatdown after a great match and then having just a lie there while like 10 or 12 guys come all around him, including Claudio getting the big pop. Afterwards, I don't know if this was a work shoot or they were shooting a work or they were working on shooting a shoot. I don't know what was going on here, but Eddie Kingston on the outside yelling, spitting at Claudio. I know he legitimately doesn't like him and Danielson, but I don't know if this was... it was on camera, so I tend to say that this was part of the story, but it definitely felt very real. You could definitely see that they were, some guys were going in and out of whether they should make sure Kingston doesn't come and attack Claudio, and also doing what they needed to do to push and sell the match by staring at the Appreciation Society as they were walking up the ramp. It looked like Santana and Ortiz were making sure that they were in between Claudio and Eddie. Eddie never got in the ring. Eddie was walking around. It looked like he spat on Claudio right in his face. Claudio seemed unfazed by it. John Moxley seemed to get a chuckle out of it. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see in the coming weeks how much of a real life situation this is. They didn't bring it up during the press conference with Claudio. I know that. I watched that. Also, speaking of the press conference, how weird was it to see Tony Khan hug all these guys? I thought that was incredibly bizarre and kind of slightly unnecessary, but I guess he was feeling it. I don't know, man. I mean, it just seems like, I guess I've never been a hugger. I'm not like Bailey, but I guess Tony Khan is a hugger. I would have just dapped up these superstars, especially people like Okada. I think he barely knows Okada, and here he is just hugging him in public. Let me know in the comments below if you would have done this situation, or maybe am I being unfair to Tony Khan here hugging up his wrestlers. Of course, I'm going to be talking about the matches on Forbidden Door, ranking every single match from worst to first. 13 big matches here, and the worst match out of all of them is Gun Club and Caster versus the LA Dojo. They did the LA Dojo dirty here a little bit. Coughlin, DKC, Knight, and Yuya Yamura. Max Caster rap was hilarious coming out, but then as soon as the bell started, Danhausen comes on the screen here and starts playing the song that he wrote about the Ass Boys, even though the whole crowd chanted Ass Boys. This idea of them playing the song by the Ass Boys makes The Ass Boys run up the ramp and leave their father and their friend 2-on-4, but then they still lost. Caster and Billy Gunn still won, beating guys like Alex Coughlin, where I think he's got a lot of upside. And I think this kind of just buries the LA Dojo, buries the whole show, New Japan Strong, and I don't think they deserve that. Number 12 out of 13, Archer versus Camarado. Last minute announcement. Like both of these guys, but it was just a little short. Everybody dies. Archer gets the 1, 2, 3. Number 11 out of 13, QT and Solo versus Goto and Yoshihashi. This is a fun way to start the whole show. QT doing a sake special is always cool. It kind of reminds me of when Terry Funk would do a moonsault back in the day. And then he wasn't done there. He went for a 450, misses it. Goto with the hot tag. And then they finish with Yushi Goroshi, Yoshihashi, and Goto get the victory. Number 10 out of 13, Thunder Rosa versus Tony Storm. This match was real quick. German on the apron, running hip attack. Does not stop the champion Thunder Rosa. 1, 2, 3. And then we have number 9 out of 13, Kamaru and Desperado versus Swerve in Our Glory. Desperado deserved more on this card. I love this match. It was pretty short. I liked Kanemaru in this match. Not really a big fan of him usually, but I liked watching him chop down the tree that is Keith Lee. Swerve in Our Glory pick up the victory despite not seeing eye to eye as of late. Number 8 out of 13, Sting, Darby, and Shingo versus the Bucks and LP. The dudes with attitudes are Los Stingobernables, as Kevin Kelly was calling them. Sting, his entrance happens, no Sting. Bullet Club come out, lights go out. Sting standing on top of the tunnel and dives on all the members of the Bullet Club. I thought this was great. Fun match. Sasuke special into back rakes. LP giving a titty twister to Sting. Sting no selling it. And then giving a purple nurple to LP. LP selling it like he just got hit with a Stone Cold Stunner. That was a fun, silly thing that you kind of had to maybe check out of. Check your cornet at the door for this match, and you'll enjoy the hell out of it. Shingo hits a nasty Last of the Dragon. 1, 2, 3. The dudes with attitudes get the victory. And number 7, I think we're on 7 right now, FTR versus Roppongi Vice versus Okan and Cobb. This match was awesome. Right away, you can tell that FTR is the most over team in this match, probably in the goddamn building, probably in the whole wrestling world right now. Dax cleaning house and then tagging out, appearing injured, gets taken to the back, comes out in the middle of the match, huge pop, and then big rig 1, 2, 3. So now FTR has the ROH, the AAA, and the IWGP Tag Championships. They cut a great promo on the New Japan Twitter saying that they're coming over. That's awesome. If I was New Japan, I'd bring them over to the during the G1, not have them in the G1, but having them wrestle maybe some young lions, having them wrestle some stars on their off days, giving them big victories, and kind of showcasing how good they are in front of this Japanese market to, in my eyes, kind of showcase how good tag team wrestling is in Japan, because the IWGP Tag Championships that have been playing hot potato on Okan and Cobb and Chase Owens and Fale, I think they really don't know what to do with it now. And now that you have Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson and FTR, you kind of have refreshened that whole division with those two teams added. I think we're at 7 or 6 out of 12. I'm kind of losing track here. I think, 6 out of 13 matches all ranked. That's where we'll go with Jericho, Suzuki, and Sammy with Ty Conti looking good as ever. A lot of upside to Ty Conti, and you could tell in that outfit, versus Yuta, Eddie, and Umino. Jericho having frustrating time with Shooter Umino, which of course leads to the fireball spot in the back later on. Shooter getting the better of Jericho on several spots. Eddie Kingston diving in the match. Umino avalanche power slam to Jericho, but then boom, Judas Effect 1, 2, 3. Appreciation Society wins. And then we go in to number 5 out of 13. And I can't believe I'm saying this here, guys. Okada versus Hangman versus Switchblade versus Cole. 5th best match on the show, not making the podium, and not even coming in 4th place. And for an IWGP championship match, I think this is the lowest I've ever ranked an IWGP championship match. The crowd gets on their feet right away. You can tell that this excites Okada and Switchblade more than the other two in the match. Hearing this roar of the crowd, Okada most over out of all 4 of them. He does the dive over the railing on the heels. Vintage Okada here. Cole and Switchblade teaming together until Cole literally hits the backstabber to Switchblade. Thought that was kind of a cool metaphor within the match. The backstabber. I'm simple to please. I'm easy to please here. Buckshot counter into a Blade Runner, but then Hangman slips out. Buckshot connects to Okada. 1-2. Okada kicks out. Really cool stuff here. Hits Okada with the discus lariat, but can't hit the Deadeye. Cole stops him. Rainmaker not connecting to Switchblade. Hits Okada with the Blade Runner though, but then pins Cole here. So yeah, Rainmaker not connecting. I kind of messed up my notes here. Sorry. Rainmaker not connecting with Cole. Cole collapses, and then Switchblade comes in, hits the Blade Runner to Okada, wiping out Okada. But there should be no reason that Cole is out right now. If you're watching the match for, the part of the show, and then Switchblade pins Cole 1, 2, 3. But he should have kicked out. We now know that Cole had a concussion and was legitimately hurt in this match. I think he should have taken the Rainmaker, but was out of it, and maybe something happened here where they were pretty much protecting Adam Cole, and it's sad to say, but that kind of took away my enjoyment of this match and kind of killed the crowd for the main event a little bit here. I hope Cole is okay, but it did put a damper on this match, and that's why it's ranked number 5 out of 13. Number 4 out of 13, though, is Pac versus Connors versus Malachi Black versus Miro. I remember I saw Clark Connors on a New Japan show in Charlotte, North Carolina in 2018 when Trump put a travel ban, so none of the real big Japanese stars could come over, but the Great Okan, who was an excursion at the time, and then Clark Connors and Carl Fredericks had the first match. They were young lions at the time for the LA Dojo that most people didn't know anything about. This was before New Japan Strong, so it was wild to see how far he has come. He didn't do too much in this match, but it was just cool to see him out there. Black and Miro bickering over who was going to whip Pac's ass at one point in the match. That was cool. Miro catches Pac on the outside. Pac slips out. Miro hits his head on the post. And then, I think they called him the Rhino. Clark Connors spears Miro through the table that was set up by Malachi Black. That was a cool spot. Black misting Miro was kind of a cool spot. Pac hitting a 450 to break up the submission that Malachi Black had locked on Connors was awesome. And then Pac not giving Connors a moment's rest after that submission was applied. Locks in a submission of his own, the Brutalizer, and Connors taps out, making Pac the new, I think it's called the Transatlantic Champion. There should not be a new title in AEW. There's literally 2 companies worth of champions. You got the ROH champions, you got the AEW champions. Sometimes we see AAA titles defended. Sometimes we see New Japan titles defended. So bringing in another title into this company is ridiculous, and it's going to kind of water down every single champion. But this match was amazing. This match was one of the best on the show, and Pac needed something here. I don't know really what's going on here with Death Triangle and House of Black. I thought that feud was still kind of going on, but it looks like it's not based on this match. I mean, Pac now has this title. Malachi Black missed it Miro, so maybe Miro is going to go after Black now. It looks like everyone's moved on, even though I don't really feel like we've gotten a lot of finality with Death Triangle and House of Black. We'll have to tune into Blood and Guts and see what's going on there. Number 3 out of 13, though, Tanahashi versus Moxley for the interim AEW Championship. This crowd was kind of out of it because of the beginning of the match before it, like I mentioned. And there was also, they were distracted by something. They even chanted, "You fucked up," for something that didn't happen in the match. You could just see that everyone's head was turned. Even Brock Lesnar guys in the front row, head turned. Apparently there was a fight in the crowd between two crowd members that turned into a fight in the crowd between the crowd and the security guard. I would be watching that shit too. Moxley had a cloverleaf locked on to Tanahashi. No one's watching. It was kind of weird to see this, especially in the main event of such a big show. Moxley counters the dragon screw into a triangle, or an armbar rather, and I think that slick little counter kind of hooked the crowd back. Fun to see Tanahashi beat the 10 count and not the 20 count like he usually does in Japan. Mox bleeds like crazy over a sling blade. Why does he bleed over a sling blade? I don't know. Maybe he's got that fucking Dusty Rhodes forehead. He just bleeds all the time. High fly flow. Paradigm shift. Neither man could put the other away. Headbutt, knee by the Ace. Ace is high fly flow. Mox kicks out. Lariat, 1 count. Ace kicks out. Paradigm shift, 1, 2, 3. Moxley wins. Solid main event, but it's pulling the bronze in this one because the other 2 matches are far better than any match on this show. And number 2, I kind of shit on along with the build. I was kind of disappointed that Ospreay was going to be in a match like this, but I wasn't disappointed at the end. People were telling me I shouldn't be disappointed. They tell me I should be excited about this, and I should have listened to them. Like I said, I shit on this match, but when it took place, it was great. I knew it would be good, but I did not know it was going to be this good. One of the best matches on the show. I love Cassidy mocking the anime landing that Ospreay and Ricochet do with the thumbs up, as with the hand that's kind of facing his back, if that makes any sense. Cassidy countered the Oscutter into a Slumdog Millionaire, was kind of sick. Takes out Ozzy Open, hits a DDT. 1, 2, no. Ospreay misses a moonsault, lands on his feet, goes for another moonsault because Cassidy rolled behind him. Cassidy then rolls forward. Ospreay lands on his feet again, then hitting a shooting star press. I thought that sequence was great. And then he goes up to the top, hitting a twisting senton, but Cassidy gets his knees up here. Great shit here. Great shit here. Hits the beach break. 1, 2. Ospreay kicks out. Stormbreaker. 1, 2, 3. Ospreay gets the victory. And that's when Shibata comes out and saves the day, like we talked about a little earlier. But number 1 on this show, and I want to say this is one of my top 5 matches of the year. I would put Briscoes and FTR up there. I would put Cody and Seth from WrestleMania up there. I would put Shingo and Okada at Wrestle Kingdom up there. I would put Will Ospreay and Okada from Wrestle Kingdom up there. But somewhere in that mix is Claudio Castagnoli making his AEW debut versus Zack Sabre Jr., who is also making his AEW debut in this match. Amazing shit here. Uppercut right out as the bell sounds. Uppercut City throughout this match. Zack folding Claudio's leg into the apron, kind of leaning on the outside like you just got to watch it. It kind of reminded me of like when Bret Hart would do the figure 4 around the post back in the day, but this just looked even more brutal. But then when they go in the ring, Zack Sabre Jr. goes after the arm, which plays into Claudio going for the spin attempt or the swing attempt. And then Claudio, Zack goes right after the arm again. Claudio picks Zack up one-handed, trying to dump him to the outside, but Zack will not let go of the arm. They both tumble to the floor. Claudio then deadlifts him one arm again, walks up the steps, and chucks him in the ring. This was really cool to see. This was when I saw that spot, I was like, okay, boom, this is amazing. Then Zack counters the big swing again to lock in the guillotine. Ricola bomb, 1, 2, 3. Claudio Coley gets the victory, but goddamn was this match amazing. And I gotta say, I was not high on AEW because of this build for this pay-per-view. But by the end of the pay-per-view, I was hooked. Now here I am. I have a whole new thing to complain about. which is the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. But I'm going to allow my experience watching this show to have me step back and kind of realize that maybe convoluted, crazy booking is good and fine. Because, I mean, I'm following everything. I'm reading the internet every day. So I know what's going on. We're going to get Blood and Guts this Wednesday, which is pretty much a ripoff of War Games, which War Games 1996 is a big reason why I'm a fan to this day. So here I am complaining about like probably the most awesome time it is to be a wrestling fan. If you're a fan like me, kind of jumped in the 90s and it kind of kept going through the 2000s, through the Ring of Honor era, this, you're getting spoon-fed this shit here, and it's amazing, amazing stuff. Next episode, I'm going to be talking about AEW Dynamite, Blood and Guts, and I'm going to be giving you my predictions for WWE Money in the Bank. Fly high. I'm out.